What's up, guys? It's Andrew Rapier here of AT Production Team. Today we'll be going over on how to make a Mac Miller sample style beat. Uh, the best example of what type of Mac Miller beat this is, it's like the old school, like the Faces mixtape style, like the trippy psychedelic. It could even be good AM, but so. We're going to just break down by each segment. So this would be the intro. This will be the chorus. This is a verse, chorus, verse, chorus, outro. Now, what you will notice is that we're at 90 BPM. We are not in double time. Double time is any BPM over 100. And that's really it. Starting out, we have gross beat. All we got is this half speed. It's probably not what Mac Miller would use, but it's sort of just something I did for fun. So like what the Mac Miller Faces mixtape is heavily, like, a lot of samples are used when making the beats. And even with good AM, it's like that as well. So what we did was the main melody we have is actually of a sample. So you can see all of our chops. So the song we sampled was a song by Don Julian and the Larks. I can't remember the exact name, but here's the song. And all we did was drag it into Slice X, and we made little slits of it. All these are regions. We just created regions. So, and when you create a region, then you get these, which are assigned to keys. And so what we did was, oh wait, he's sort of like the Alchemist style sample beats, because he has really choppy stuff. And even in Mac Miller's album Watching Movies with the Sound Off, he's had a song that was produced by the Alchemist. So that's why I really think this could be Mac Miller style. But then on top of that, we added other stuff. We added bells. So we built on top of the sample. And then we had the piano. So that kind of, and the way that we figured out how to add instruments on top of the sample was just by ear. Those with knowledge of music theory and such, and understanding keys and chords, would be able to tell what keys are being played in the sample, and they could replicate that with the instrument. However, I am not educated in music so much, so I play by ear. So I just play different melodies until I figured out something that went well with the sample melody. So what we had together was this. And then we also had a harp. And at least to what I think and remember, I believe Mac Miller's has incorporated harps and such in his beats. I know it wouldn't be anything out of the ordinary. Like, it would be something that someone would expect, in my opinion at least. So I added this harp, and they're all the similar keys. So D sharp, G, A sharp, D sharp, D sharp, G sharp, A sharp. You see? So we keep around. If you have similar keys on all of your melodies, they can be in the same scale, and it would sound like coherent and you'd enjoy it rather than having these melodies that would clash each other. And then on top of that, we had the brass. Since we're past the intro, this was just the producer call. We had the brass in the chorus, and only in the chorus and in the outro. Which we have the bells in the intro, and just the intro and outro and chorus. But we have the bells only in the second part of the chorus. Kind of differentiates the first part and the second part, so it doesn't sound so repetitive. But anyways, we have the brass, and the brass was just something typical from Nexus. The bells original, these were from Omnisphere. The choir, which we haven't gotten to yet, is in Nexus. The harp is from Native Instruments, Contact. The brass is from Nexus, and the piano is Contact. Native Instruments. So, or Native Instruments, Contact. So then we have the choir, which we only have the choir in the outro and the choruses. And the choir were in the full chorus. But we drowned the choir in this, where is it? Here. We drowned the choir in some reverb because we wanted it to be a texture. We didn't really want it to be anything crazy and stand out. And then we have the 808. So, the 808 was in, obviously, the choruses and in the second half of the verses. Now you see two different patterns, whereas everything else is just, there's only one pattern of each. And so the two patterns of the 808s was this one, which it's just our traditional normal 808. Oh, hold up. So here's the first one. And then when we go into the second one, which just has more up, like has notes that go higher up. And we have this transition part, so it kind of goes in there. So that's pretty much all that. So we could just cover the 808 and all the instruments and where we put them. Now, since this is a chorus, we don't really need to have a whole lot of room open for the vocals, because it's sort of, well, it just depends, honestly. I usually make the verses have more room because the rapper will be rapping more complex scheme, like words, and we'll have a more complex rhythm. But I don't really have to worry about that in the chorus as much. He or she will probably have a more simple flow, so it can be catchy. Now we have the kicks right here, which we actually have two different kick patterns. These three, bass, normal kick, and normal kick 2, are all the same patterns, and I'll show you in here. This is just a pattern. But we have this one, which is different. which this kick is actually drowned in a reverb, and the main purpose of this kick is to give the track a bounce. And usually when you listen to Mac Miller beats, they have some form of bounce to it. It has a groove. It's not so much of a trap style, but it's more of like an old school style. And this is a Mac Miller that does the Faces, Mixtape, watching movies with the sound off, and even Good AM. I'm not talking about the old Mac Miller, like the Kids Mac, or Incredibly Dope Kids, or I can't remember what it was. It was something like that. Sorry, that's my phone. But and then on top of that, we have the Smack, which I'll just solo it. I don't know. Let me figure out why that's not playing out. So that's a Smack. It's just like a little hat almost. And then we have just a snare. And since we're not in double time, I don't put the snares right here. I put them a little bit closer to the kicks. And we made it a little bit bouncy. And then what else? Then we added these snare shots. Sort of like that West Coast old school stuff. Adds more to the bounce. Then we have the shaker. And we covered the 808. And now, since we said this is a chorus, this is the most complex beat-wise part, at least when I make it. Now when we go here, we drop the piano, so you just have the harp and the sample. And we also drop the bounce kick, so the kick that we drowned in reverb that created the contrast with the main kicks, we dropped that. We also dropped the snare shots as well as the percussion shakers and the hats and 808s. Now in the second part of the verse right here, we added the pianos back, and we added the hats and 808s to kind of bring back some of the energy and kind of as a transition. Now before we go into the chorus, we cut out all the instruments and drums. We do this with the 808s. So instead of using a riser or a reverse cymbal, we use actually the 808 to transition into that part. Now it's just the same thing for the chorus as always, so nothing is different in these choruses. However, from the first verse to the second verse, we drop the harp now. So now we just got the sample and the drums. And this is just for the pure sake of differentiating the second verse from the first verse, so it doesn't sound like a simple loop beat. Now we could probably change up the melodies, however, we just want to make a simple, straightforward beat. Then we just bring everything back, except the percussion. So it's pretty much just this is copied over, and this is copied over, except no harps. And then we do the same exact thing for the transition for this part, the 808 that goes into here. So now that's pretty much for all the chorus, and then for the outro we drop the sample and we just use the bells, choir, harp, brass, and piano. Then we drop these two down, so and then we extend it so it kind of drifts off. So since Mac Miller, for the most part, for the examples I've said earlier, he doesn't really use the heavy trap beats. I know in When in Rome on Good AM is kind of like a trappy beat. But for the most part, in like Faces and stuff, he doesn't have anything that's extravagant. It's kind of like a simple, moody thing. And that's sort of like the point of doing these chops. And since we did these chops, it's hard just to identify the sample, and then we add our own instruments. Some people might even think that the chops aren't even a sample, and then with that you can kind of, I don't want to say skeet the system, but you can kind of get past the system and keep more of your royalties and stuff, because you're not using so much of what the original creator used. You completely alter their craft into something else that's not even resemblant, like sounds, anything that sounds like what they made, but you still use their part, and it still follows the tradition of hip hop of sampling. And we actually put in the sample, which this is just a Slice X. We just put the sample in the mixer channel. We even did some effects to it, like a delay, a reverb, and stereo enhancer, and cut out some bad frequencies. So that's pretty much the main gist of it. As I said earlier, this was the gross beat, and then the producer call out. Now, for those that are curious, I'll actually play the full beat, since we didn't hear it earlier. So, here's a full beat. And after this beat, after I play the beat, we are done. And if you guys have any questions, be sure to leave a comment. You guys can email me. I do collabs. However, I do charge. If you contact me, we can work up a deal. And I will be having more content coming out soon. I know I've been gone for a while, but I have a lot planned. So let's play this beat, and then that's it.